Hello and welcome to Mississippi Insight. I'm Byron Brown. Thank you for joining us. This week, Attorney General Lynn Fitch offers a message of support for women and children in Mississippi in a post-Roe era. But the numbers suggest a lot more support is needed in our state. We'll check the facts. And Senate Minority Leader Derrick Simmons joins us with strong opposition to the state's tax cut plan. That's all ahead this Sunday on Mississippi Insight. Tensions were high outside Mississippi's only abortion clinic late last week as the state's trigger law took effect. Most abortions are now banned in Mississippi following the U.S. Supreme Court verdict in the state suit against the Jackson Women's Health Organization. The so-called pink house did see some patients Thursday, but no abortion procedures were performed, and the clinic itself is preparing to move out of state.
The doors will lock today, and they'll be moving to Las Cruces, New Mexico to open Pink House West.
We're happy with that, but we also realize that there's still more work to be done.
Still, lawyers for the clinic filed an appeal late last week with the state Supreme Court. They want justices to block the law and allow the Pink House to reopen this week. The state Supreme Court is giving Attorney General Lynn Fitch a July 25th deadline to respond to this new appeal. Two district attorneys say that they won't prosecute anyone who tries to get or provide abortions in their jurisdictions, and they won't prosecute those who help a woman obtain an abortion either. Hinds County DA Jody Owens and 6th District Attorney Shamika Collins issued a joint statement. They say, quote, legislatures may decide to criminalize personal health care decisions, but we remain obligated to prosecute only those cases that serve the interests of justice and the people, end quote. Collins' district, by the way, covers Adams, Amite, Franklin, and Wilkinson counties. She and Owens join at least 60 district attorneys and a state attorneys general from 31 states to refuse to prosecute over abortion services. As for the Attorney General herself, Lynn Fitch is already looking ahead following her win before the nation's highest court. Ms. Fitch posted this video statement on social media on Wednesday.
It's been just over a week since the Supreme Court published its opinion in the Dobbs case. But it's still hard to believe that we have put an end to the oppression and violence of Roe v. Wade. We've turned the page on that decision. We have started a new chapter in the American story. And as a result, we've given life and hope to women and their children. You know, they've always been our mission. But in the wake of the Dobbs decision, the way we must serve them has changed. The very same passion and energy we have poured into overturning Roe v. Wade these past 50 years must now be channeled into empowering women who find themselves in challenging circumstances. The Life Movement has always supported them with love, support, and respect. We must double down on our efforts to strengthen the safety net that they need, not only for healthy pregnancies, but also as they build families where both they and their children thrive. Faith communities have such an important role to play. Pregnancy centers need you to give generously of your time, your talents, and your treasure. They need you to step in and connect the gaps in the safety net that supports them. We also need our laws to reflect our compassion for these women and their children. The Supreme Court has given us a tremendous opportunity with Dobbs. It is time for an open and frank dialogue about issues like the affordability and accessibility of child care, child support enforcement that requires fathers be equally responsible for their children, workplace policies like maternity and paternity leave, streamlining adoption, and improving foster care. It is time not just to talk about these issues, but to take action on them. The true measure of a society is in how it treats its most vulnerable. I believe that the American people can and will uplift women when they feel most vulnerable, that they will give women hope when they feel like they have none, and that they will be the light that women need when they feel overwhelmed by darkness. If the Dobbs decision stands for anything, it's the embodiment of our belief in the dignity of women, the dignity of their children, and the inherent dignity of all human life. I am so excited about the work that lies ahead before us in this brand new post-Roe world. You know, we asked the court to let the people show how we can both empower women and promote life. And we will do just that.
By the way, we've asked General Fitch to come on Mississippi Insight, and we look forward to her response. When she suggests that we need to do more to support women and children, we should first understand this. By most measures, the health and well-being of women and children here today is not very good. The CDC, the Center for Mississippi Health Policy, and several other groups and agencies rank each of the 50 states on a variety of such measures. That includes maternal and infant mortality. We have one of the nation's worst rates of women dying from pregnancy-related issues, more than 22 deaths per 100,000 live births. The national average is closer to 17 per 100,000. For infant mortality, the numbers are even worse. The CDC ranks Mississippi last among all 50 states. For every 1,000 children born here, between 8 and 9 children died. In Washington, President Biden has taken action to preserve some abortion rights through the form of an executive order. 12 News' Richard Lake has more on what the White House is setting out to accomplish.
Today's executive order is aimed at keeping abortion services open and accessible for as long as possible. The order is focused on preserving abortion rights that exist currently, meaning no change is expected to come in Mississippi.
It's not going to put clinics in Mississippi, but it may seek to protect clinics that have been set up along state borders between states where abortion is available and it's not.
While the executive order will not change abortion accessibility in Mississippi, here is what the executive order sets out to accomplish. Keeping existing abortion clinics in the country in operation for as long as possible through the form of extra legal representation and help from pro-abortion rights groups. Protecting patient privacy and those who perform abortions by safeguarding personal health information, and directing the Department of Health and Human Services to develop a report that outlines possible actions that can prolong abortion access in the country. That report from the HHS could come in as soon as 30 days. The abortion rights battle in Mississippi has been continuing amidst this executive order. Today, the Mississippi Supreme Court set a deadline of July 25th for Attorney General Lynn Fitch to respond to the lawsuit filed by the Jackson Women's Health Organization. The lawsuit aims to block the trigger law that went into effect Thursday, banning nearly all abortions in the state. Reporting in Jackson, Richard Lake, 12 News.
After the break, Senate Minority Leader Derrick Simmons from Greenville. It's Mississippi Insight only on 12 News. Mississippi Republicans hold the reins on state politics, and they are scored victory after victory, both in Mississippi and in the nation's capital. From the Supreme Court ruling in Mississippi's favor against abortion rights to the largest tax cut in Mississippi. These and other conservative achievements will have a big impact on our communities. But state Democrats say they're not giving up the fight. Senate Minority Leader Derrick Simmons penned an op-ed about the big tax cut. He insists that only wealthy Mississippians will benefit from it, while low-income neighbors will carry more of the tax burden from the state. He writes, quote, "Current state's revenue levels are already not enough to help sustain this and other vital public services, particularly in lower income communities, even as these communities shoulder a greater tax burden than their wealthier neighbors. Even worse is that these disparities are likely to deepen," end quote. We spoke with Senator Derrick Simmons Friday. The Greenville Democrat represents Districts 12, serving people in Bolivar, Coahoma, and Washington counties.
Senator, remind our viewers about the tax cut plan that Republicans pushed through both the House and Senate last session. And for one thing, which taxes are actually being cut here?
The income tax is actually being cut. The first proposal, Byron, was a complete elimination of the income tax, but what ended up being passed was a phase out of the 4% income tax and a reduction over the next 4 years of the 5% income tax bracket. I'm very concerned about taking away $500 million of general funds from the state budget, of course, because those funds could be used for other vital functions of government that we certainly need in Mississippi.
Is that your biggest concern about this tax cut, or what other concerns do you have?
Well, certainly those dollars could be used to help expand access to health care, to help reward and retain our state employees, to continue to further fund our public schools and pay our teachers, and certainly help with roads and bridges to the extent we need additional help after these federal dollars go away. So that is a concern, but also the actual tax cut itself is completely regressive and is disproportionate for Mississippians who receive the savings. The highest income earners will receive about $6,700 in savings from the tax cut proposal that was passed and was signed into law, whereas the lowest income earners in Mississippi only will see a savings of about $16, $17, which is like the price of a large pizza.
And so that's why you believe it hurts poor Mississippians the most?
Yes, because once you start fading away the major source of revenue for the state of Mississippi, which is like the personal income tax, what's left will be sales tax. And we all know that sales tax are regressive on middle to low income Mississippi. It's very regressive.
Let me read the last line in your op-ed that you said, quote, "The future Mississippi we envision is dependent upon the decisions we make today. Resources, we must prioritize community above policies that benefit the few and strip valuable resources from our communities and our people." Senator Simmons, do you believe that your fellow Democrats in the Senate and House are prepared to work with Governor Reeves and the Republican supermajority in the legislature to this end?
Yes, certainly. We have always led the charge to try to make sure we improve Mississippi for all Mississippians. And the way you do that is to help build Mississippi from the bottom up. And so we certainly will look forward to working with Governor Reeves or the legislative leaders on doing that and not continue with these policies that just only benefit a few Mississippians.
Democrats don't have a whole lot of power in the Senate or the House because of the supermajority. So what can Democrats do?
Well, do what we've done with the new leaders that we have in the legislature. We started really, really strong in 2020, working with our legislative leaders there, Speaker Gunn and Lieutenant Governor Delbert Holzman, on the first installment of CARES Act funding. We did that in a bipartisan way. As you know, 2020 was a historic session regarding us changing the state flag. That was done in a bipartisan way. Even this session, we were able to get rid of the original Go Mississippi state song and replace that with a One Mississippi song. All of that was done in a bipartisan way. So if we continue in a bipartisan way to benefit all Mississippians, we will do better as a state.
We've heard from State Attorney General Lynn Fitch about her priorities for women and children in post-Roe era, and we've heard similar sentiments from Lieutenant Governor Delbert Holzman and House Speaker Philip Gunn. Do you share their views on better supporting women and kids, and how will Democratic lawmakers approach these issues going forward?
Well, we will continue to approach these issues like we have always have been championing regarding expanding access to care for Mississippi families. When we support women, we support Mississippi families. In this post-Roe era, we need to do everything we can to pass postpartum.
After the break, the latest in the capital city's struggles to maintain basic water and trash services. Jacksonians, we have a lot to cover on those fronts when Mississippi Insight continues. A new chapter unfolds in Jackson's garbage contract controversy. A special judge ruled Friday morning in favor of the Jackson City Council against Mayor Chokwe Antar Lumumba. 12 News' Jalen Level was in the courtroom and tells us what this means.
Friday morning, special appointed judge Larry Robertson ruled Jackson Mayor Lumumba did not have the ability to veto a no vote of the Jackson City Council.
The complexity of these arguments, I think, have led to what I believe to be an erred decision.
The new ruling follows months of disagreements between the city council and the mayor. Attorneys representing the council argue Mayor Lumumba's veto capabilities of inaction by the city council.
We've been singing that song since the beginning. That's a legal, factual impossibility. And the judge just said, hey, Martin, hey, John Scanlon, you're right. You can't veto a negative bill.
The mayor's attorneys argued the mayor had the right to veto the council's 4-3 vote in April. against the approval of an emergency garbage contract for Richards Disposal.
If the mayor was not allowed to veto this the failure for them to approve the contract, then it would take away his authority to control and to run the city and the municipality under his authority given to him by the statute.
And while much of the controversy is centered around the Richards Disposal contract, when asked about the future of the company's collection in Jackson, the mayor declined to go into detail.
I will not speak to that precisely at this moment, but we will look at what our options are.
With the debate continued, Lumumba says his team will consider seeking ultimate reviews from the state Supreme Court. Jalen Level, 12 News.
Meantime, as of Friday, the city of Jackson remains under boil water alerts issued separately at the local and state levels. We got an update late last week on the latest water crisis and the hopes for resolving it from Mayor Lumumba's Chief of Staff, Dr. Sophia Omari.
We have some important updates to share with you in Mayor Lumumba's absence. He is in D.C. seeking funds so that we can address some of our infrastructure problems. The city of Jackson remains under a state-imposed boil water notice. The State Department of Health issued this notice on June 30th due to higher than standard turbidity levels. Before we lift the notice, we are also required to make sure the O.B. Curtis plant and well water facilities are stable and able to meet water production requirements. We feel that we have made substantial progress in meeting that goal, and we will continue to work with the Department of Health to meet their requirements. We provide them with updates several times a day with regards to the data that's coming from our water plant. They have given us the go-ahead to begin sampling the water again this morning. Once they have received and tested the samples, we will know whether or not we can lift the boil water notice. Although we cannot definitely commit to a specific timeline on this, we expect that the boil water notice on the well system may be lifted as early as tomorrow, and on the surface water system as early as Saturday. But keep that in mind, that depends on the State Department of Health giving us the go-ahead after they receive our water samples. We issued a notice to all City of Jackson water customers on June 24th due to limited water pressure. We were required to issue that notice because our water pressure dropped below 65 psi. Since then, our water pressure has been consistently at a level consistent with clean water, safe water, and all City of Jackson customers should be getting water at this point in time. We understand that the water system situation has put a burden on our residents and our businesses, and we apologize and continue to work diligently to ensure that this does not happen again. We have brought in outside contractors to help us in those efforts, as well as received additional manpower, people power, staff power from the Mississippi Rural Water Association. We continue to work to weatherize and update the O.B. Curtis plant, and the construction of a 4-foot water pipe to South Jackson will help with water distribution. I think that should be a 48-inch water pipe to South Jackson. That will help with water distribution, and we are currently putting together our application to apply for ARPA funds from the state to continue this work as well. We have been setting up water distribution sites every day since we've been under the notice. When the state issued a boil water notice, we really were trying to figure out what requirements we had to meet and if and when we'd be able to meet those requirements to lift the boil water notice. So we didn't want to keep coming before saying, I think. We wanted to let people know when we had some definite information to provide. So if things stayed the same and we were still under the boil water notice and we were still distributing water, we didn't see the need to have a press briefing. If things had changed before this morning, they changed this morning, we would have had a press briefing.
Again, that's Dr. Sophia Amari with the mayor's office. Monitor 12 News and WJTV.com for more updates on the boil alerts and where you can pick up bottled water from city distribution efforts this week. We'll be right back. Our thanks to Senator Derrick Simmons and 12 News' Jalen Level and Richard Lake for their contributions this week. We'll be back next weekend with more of the political and current affairs coverage that you demand. I'm Byron Brown. From all of us here at 12 News, make it a great weekend.